Hello everyone, this is part 5 of What If Naruto Took Hinata for Himself, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. I'm doing well on this schedule. It's only the third day, but the fact that it has continued even that long is proof that I'm being more organized than usual. Sakura was sat on a bench outside the white building. It wasn't ugly, but it had a certain intimidating presence. It shouldn't really. After what seemed like an age of waiting, she saw a cloaked figure hobbling towards her. Naruto? She asked blandly. Oh, damn. How'd you know it was me? I can see your sneakers. Naruto looked down to see that the too short cloak didn't quite veil the bright white trainers emblazoned with the slogan, Uzumaki Fox. Oh, he sniggered, whoops. Sakura rolled her eyes but then waved to someone behind him. Naruto turned around to see Tenten and Hinata walking towards them. Tenten was grinning from ear to ear, Hinata just looked faintly sick. Will he help? Tenten beamed. Sakura hugged her and called her a genius. Naruto refrained from grabbing Hinata, although it took some effort. Once she had calmed down, Sakura took a moment to explain things. They needed both Naruto and Hinata's signatures on the marriage license. Neji and Sakura as representatives for each and witnesses to the marriage could add theirs later at the actual ceremony. Tenten would be a bridesmaid. After looking up and down the road to make sure that no one they knew was coming, they all ushered themselves through the big wooden doors. It was 2 o'clock when they bought their marriage license and past when they made it back to the compound. Hinata thought about the sneaky way they were doing this and felt a twinge of regret that she had to deceive her family, but if it was the price she was paying for her freedom, then she would pay it gladly. Neji was waiting for them when they got back. He had a purple lump on his forehead and the veins were standing out on his N. Upon seeing them, he clenched his jaw. Striding forward, he punched Naruto in the face. Naruto fell backwards, caught by Tenten. Ow, you bastard. Neji turned around and marched away. Naruto worked his jaw. Sorry, muttered Tenten, embarrassed. He's helping, but he's not really happy about the situation. I'm okay. Naruto winced. His jaw felt as if it was going to drop off, but he smiled nonetheless. Tomorrow evening then. Tenten nodded enthusiastically. Sakura did an excited little dance. He turned to leave but then stopped and walked back to them. Putting his hands on Hinata's hips, he pulled her towards him and kissed her. At first she was surprised, but then slipped her hands up around his N and returned his ardor. Ah, mi amor, sighed Tenten, reaching out for Sakura. Sakura laughed. Si, senorita. She grabbed Tenten around the middle and pretended to kiss her vigorously. They stood up straight to see Naruto and Hinata watching them, arms still wrapped around each other. Hinata looked amused, Naruto irritated, or he did, until Hinata seized him and kissed him more fervently than ever. See you later, she whispered when she was finished, kissing him on the tip of his nose. Turning, with a swaying gait, she walked away down the corridor, leaving the other three in a state of shock. Sakura waved her hand in front of Naruto's face, but he didn't respond. Unless she puts Rohypnol in her lipstick, I don't know what she's done to him. I know, Tenten smiled, they're in love. Gag. Naruto was still staring at the point Hinata had disappeared. Let's just leave him here. He'll come around eventually. Tenten shrugged. Giggling, they wandered off down the hall, leaving Naruto still swimming in the ether Hinata had provided. When Naruto woke up next morning and felt a sudden flip of excitement, he had to think hard. What was he supposed to be doing today? Across the room, Kiba rolled over and snored. Why was he sharing with Kiba and Shino? Oh right, they were in water country. With the Hyugas. With Hinata. Naruto sat bolt upright. How had he forgotten? A huge happy grin spread over his face and he threw himself back onto the pillows. Today he was getting married. He lay there for a moment enjoying the cool side of the bed, then sat up again. It was impossible to just stay there, even though the cotton sheets were some of the finest he'd ever slept on. Jumping up, he gazed around. The whole room seemed a little brighter today. The windows let in more sun, the wooden floor was smoother, the covers of his bed softer, the snoring of his roommates lighter, almost musical. Almost. Of course it wouldn't technically be a marriage, but he didn't dwell on that. He loved her and she loved him. If you felt that way about a person, time was barely a factor. At least that was what he believed. He couldn't know if she felt the same. But still, as he thought of his beautiful girl, he couldn't help but spin on the spot and punch the air, because from today she was his and no one else's. In another part of the house, Tenten barreled into Hinata's room. "Wake up, girl," she barked. Hinata shot up in bed, with a hoarse, "Yes, sensei," before she realized that it was her friend. Tenten chuckled. Hinata scowled in embarrassment and lay back down. Tenten ran over and jumped on the duvet mound. "Wake up, in case you had forgotten, you're getting married tonight." Emphasis on the word tonight. Tenten climbed off and pretended to be sad. "So you don't want to see your wedding dress then?" Hinata leapt out of bed then. At first Tenten was excited, but that was before she saw that Hinata's hands had balled into fists and she was shaking. "You bought a wedding dress? Tenten, this is supposed to be Loki." Tenten rolled her eyes. "Relax, Hinata. You're not going to look like a snow beast. It's just a white dress." That seemed to calm her down a little bit. "Want to see?" She waggled her eyebrows suggestively. "Fine." The other girl groaned and held out her arms. Sakura appeared at the door at about 10 o'clock, but had it answered by Kiba, quickly joined by a huge snowy head as Akamaru pushed his face between Kiba's side and the door. He looked down at her in mild surprise. She scratched Akamaru's muzzle, and he licked her hand. "Hello, Kiba-kun." The young medical ninja yawned. "Is Naruto here? I need to talk to him." Kiba nodded with a sly grin and called over his shoulder. "Hey idiot, Sakura wants to talk." Naruto didn't even bother with a retort. He pushed between Kiba, Akamaru and the door frame. He looked scared and excited and a little bit hyperactive, but today Sakura could forgive him for that. "What is it?" he asked nervously, pulling the door closed behind him. "Nothing at all," she said with a smile as she saw his tense face relax. "I was just wondering if you wanted to choose someone as a best man. Can you trust the guys enough? I just thought that if Hinata has a bridesmaid, you should have someone to represent you." She looked at the wall, feeling a bit silly. Naruto gazed at her sadly. "There would have been someone, but he's gone, isn't he?" Sakura froze up. Her heart was suddenly whirring in her chest. "Sasuke." Naruto saw what he had done and felt guilty. "Sorry." He kept his gaze firmly on her elbow, but then brightened. "But who says it has to be a guy?" She looked up, confused and curious. "Sakura, you want to be my maid of honor?" She hesitated, her brow crinkling as if she didn't understand, but then a big goofy grin spread over her face and she threw her arms around his neck in a big bear hug. Naruto smelled vanilla and cherry blossom, something that before would have knocked his whole world sideways, now just made him feel glad that she was there. "That's a yes, in case you couldn't tell." He chuckled. "Now what are you wearing?" "Huh. Oh, for God's sake." She looked so exasperated he had to laugh. "Suit." Naruto wrinkled his nose. "Suit but no tie." She smiled. "All right, I'll negotiate that one." Then she walked away. "Oh, and I'll find you some rings as well." There was little to do that day, for Naruto at least. It might be a different case for his maid of honor. He chuckled each time he thought that. Maid of honor. Occasionally he would slip up and put himself in the white dress and that would set him off again. At about midday he tired of the joke, so he went to sit by the lake. He found Shikamaru there. He was watching clouds, a long blade of grass in his mouth. "A badger has probably pissed on that," said Naruto, gesturing at the grass. Shikamaru shrugged, then reached into his pocket and flung the Ika Paradise book at Naruto, who picked it up. He read the back and recalled what he had thought when he first read the book. Tacky, he had called it. L-ed books. While he could not deny that they were very graphic to the point of perverse, they picked up on love very well. He knew that now. "You could have kept it," he said. "Nah, not for me," said Shikamaru, gazing at a passing cloud. "Too much hassle chasing women around." "I don't know," said Naruto, rubbing his chin and allowing himself a small smile. "There are a few advantages." Are you kidding? You read that disgusting thing right? Do you know what it takes to get a woman going? They're so freaking complicated." Naruto flopped onto the grass beside him and opened the book at random. Unsurprisingly, he landed on a page. This wasn't all that difficult, especially since about 50% of the book was S. He read a short way. Shikamaru was right. Women were complicated. Every little thing would set him off. Flipping the ragged paperback shut, he lay down and stared up into the soft blue. That's not what I'm talking about, he said. I mean, there are other perks. Not that they'll cook for you or clean up, but someone who loves you will be there for you before anyone else and long after them too. They'll cheer you up when you're sad. They'll keep you calm when you're angry. If you find someone to love who'll love you back, you don't need much else. Do you? Shikamaru spat out the badger piss grass blade. You speak as if you know. Naruto allowed himself a knowing grin. No. Speculation on my part. Shikamaru moved as if he was going to look at Naruto but couldn't seem to summon the energy, so his head just lolled. Don't tell Hinata that she'll be angry at you. Naruto thought his heart might have stopped beating. He stared at the sky, afraid to look at Shikamaru. It was Shikamaru right. He wouldn't betray what they were doing. You know that what you're doing could start a feud. Naruto nodded slowly. You also know that it will destroy Hinata's relationship with her family. She only sees her mother once every couple of years, and that is under strict ruling from the family council. The visits can be suspended. Naruto nodded again. It seemed like snakes were writhing in his mid-drift. He couldn't believe he had been so selfish. He had only thought about losing his Hinata. Had he convinced himself that all he could do was keep her from the marriage was marry her? He hadn't even thought about the things that Shikamaru had said. Do you think I should call it off? He heard the ponytailed shinobi groan. Well, you know what you want, right? You just need to think about what she wants and what she's willing to give up. By the time Shikamaru was aware of any movement, Naruto was running back to the house. Naruto crashed into Hinata's room. Literally, he fell through the screen door and slipped on a top that had been left on the floor. Stood on a stool being fitted for a dress by Tenten was his maid of honor. Her eyes widened when she saw him in the mirror and she spun around to stare at him. Hinata came out of the bathroom with her hair done up in a bizarre top knot. Tenten, I look like a moose. Then she saw Naruto and stopped short. Oh no, cried Tenten, you're not supposed to see the bride. Naruto waved it off and turned to Hinata. The hair did make her look like she had antlers. Hinata seemed to grasp that he needed a moment and ushered the others out. He stared at the floor between them. Cold feet? She asked. Her voice was low. She sounded like she had been expecting it. He shook his head, still not meeting her eyes. Really? Her voice was surprised then. Hinata, he began, then trailed off. Deciding that there was no other way than to ask straight out, he took a deep breath and blurted, Are you sure you thought this through? There was a sound like a bird coughing. Naruto realized it was her attempt at incredulity. It's just that you'll be giving up so much. Not only could it ignite a clan war, but you'll be estranged from your family. Hinata clenched her fists. Hard as it may be to believe Naruto, yes, I have considered that. I chose freedom. I chose you. He looked up at her then. But are you sure? Your father. My father doesn't come into it. She barked. My father is a proud man, so proud he's forgotten what else family means. Naruto felt bad again, so guilty that he had managed to misjudge her. She relaxed then. Are you rethinky? No. He cried, anguished, staring wildly at her. She felt a little smile dance on her face. Then can you get out? Because Tenten is chomping at the bit and I'm not going to be one to make her mad today. That's not fair. Naruto exploded. This is, he reined in his anger, suddenly shuffling his feet, looking embarrassed. Today belongs to you. Us. She corrected with a tiny little smile. Naruto felt a shiver run down his spine. He took her face in his hands and pulled her to him. He kissed her as softly as he could, however she had other ideas. Throwing her arms around his neck, her fingers meshed in his hair and pulled him hard against her. Their mouths were so tightly locked it hurt. Naruto felt his freshly acquired Hinata-related self-control begin to crack. Wishing so hard that he didn't have to, he pushed her away. She fell back panting. Well, she gasped, gulping air, don't know where that came from. Well, we can explore that more tonight. He said hoarsely. He made as if to kiss her mouth but then thought better of it. See you later. He pressed his still tingling lips to her forehead and ran from the room. But Hinata didn't notice. Everything went blank after the word, tonight, crossed his lips. Naruto and Sakura reached the town hall first. It was already dark and they went straight in. The woman at the desk smiled at them. Hello, Uzumaki, said Naruto harshly. Sakura shot the woman an apologetic look. He's a bit nervous. They all are. She smiled. Sakura saw Naruto roll his eyes and had to fight a smile. As they walked into the little church, Naruto muttered, "I'm not nervous about that bit. I'm nervous about getting caught." "Bull." Sakura hissed back, "You are bricking it. You won't even say the words. Afraid she won't turn up." "No." He shot back defensively. She laughed, but then they heard the opening of the doors and suddenly were all seriousness. Naruto whipped off the cloak he had been wearing and flung it onto a pew. He was left in a stylish if slightly rumpled suit. As he had asked, his collar was open, leaving about an inch of honey-colored F visible at the hollow of his T, which Sakura could see was sweating. The jacket and pants were a deep gray, offset by the bright white shirt he had on beneath it. His heart began to thud as the double doors swung open, and what he saw there almost stopped it altogether. Tenten came first, her red dress adding warmth to her tightened skin, a little posy of red and white flowers in her hand. She was smiling widely, thrilled with her own handiwork, and a moment later they saw why. Radiant. That was the way to describe a bride, wasn't it? Well, that didn't even cover her in that moment. Her long thick hair tumbled over her shoulders in waves of raven black. It was only held back in one place. Behind her ear, Tenten had pushed a big white rose. Its elegant petals furled over one another and buried themselves against her soft hair like they belonged there, nestled in her black tresses. Her face was even more beautiful, her eyes seemed purer tonight, more than they ever had. To say that she had no pupils, you would think that it would diminish her. Instead, the strange lilac tint they always had glowed deeply like wells of fire, of power, unadulterated power. She was riding the rush her soon-to-be freedom was giving her. The fire would caress and care, not harm. It would envelop Naruto, and he wanted it entirely. He wanted that lilac fire to bind him so tightly that he would in its embrace and exist there as a part of her. She was beaming, the perfect bow of her lips curved into the warmest of smiles. Tenten had colored them a pale shade of pink, and they looked silky and yielding. Next, and Naruto hated himself a little bit for being so shallow, his gaze fell to her body. As perfect and flowing and supple and curvaceous as he remembered. Her alabaster skin had radiance under the lights. It didn't look like skin. It seemed like a shell. Whatever was inside was glimmering delicately on all sides, letting them know, "I'm here." The dress was lovely, strapless white lace that accented the swell of her BS and then suddenly cinched in her tiny waist with a pink silk sash the same color as the one used on her lips. It didn't shine like her lips though. The dress again slipped over her hips so you could see their roundness and the way they flowed into her legs. It spread down to her mid-calves, but there was up the right side that gave him a glimpse of that milky thigh once every few seconds. She was smiling, but even Naruto could see her grip on Neji's arm was so hard that her knuckles were white and bloodless. When they finally reached the end of the aisle, he had to unhook her iron-hard grip on his forearm. For a millionth of a second she looked terrified, as if Neji was a float that had kept her above water in a flood, but then Naruto smiled at her and she lost all the tension she had been storing. She took a step forward, then reconsidered. Turning away, she threw her arms around her cousin Zen and hugged him as hard as she could. He looked surprised, but then wrapped his arms around her too. "Thank you for this," she whispered. Their hair mingled together as she whispered, crow black and chocolate brown, and Naruto could suddenly see a certain resemblance. Neji looked like his father and Hinata like her mother, but they were the same nonetheless. They were family, and maybe once this was over, the only family each other had. He stroked her hair and whispered back, "I wouldn't do it for anyone else, you know." Hinata gave him one last squeeze. "Thank you, Neji." She dropped down from her tiptoes, she was too small to reach his shoulders even with heels, and went to stand by Naruto. The minister was watching curiously. He knew these people and it worried him. Even if they didn't know it, they seemed very nervous. All except the bride. But then there was an impatient cough and he looked up startled. Sakura was grinning at him. Each of her milk-white teeth shone under the lights, making her look far too much like a predator. The officiate pushed his glasses up his nose and began. The ceremony felt warped. Parts of it dragged so slowly Naruto swore he could feel the earth revolving, but the parts where she had to speak flew by. Then they were both required to say the last few words that would bind them together. "I do," he croaked. She watched him, her eyes burning, and then whispered the words herself so quickly it was like an echo of his. There was a quarter second before the minister finally pronounced them husband and wife, but it seemed to last a decade. Then they were through. He said the words and they were free and flying with only one thing tying them together. The invisible, unbreakable thread that bound them to each other. Hinata jumped on Naruto and kissed him, not in passion or desire but with an unrestrained joy that shone through every part of her. Their friends were laughing. Then taking each other's hands they ran back to the doors to sign the register. Hinata frantically scribbled her name and almost speared Naruto with the pen in her eagerness to get it to him. He signed in an almost unrecognizable scrawl. Beside them Neji and Sakura had signed the witness points and were asking the woman at the desk to finalize anything they might have missed. Hinata and Naruto were already out the door when they were done, waiting impatiently. Sakura handed the license to Naruto who looked at it once then handed it back. Sakura looked taken aback. "Why are you giving me this?" she asked. Naruto raised his eyebrows. "Are you kidding? Give me that and I'll lose it or get barbecue sauce on it or something. You'll take care of it better." Sakura hesitated but then smiled and held out her hand for it. "Time to go home then," said Neji. Hinata looked at him, shocked. "I don't want to go home now," she gasped. "I want to have fun, I want to enjoy myself, I want food." His stomach rumbled. They all laughed and Naruto wrapped his arms around and squeezed her stomach. "We have food at the house. I don't want to go back to the house," she barked, laughing at the same time, and she danced away from him. "Come on," she pleaded, "let's go get some food." Naruto was at her side in an instant. "I second the motion." He smiled, wrapping his arm around her and kissing her hair. Her rose, now slightly squashed from all the hugs and kisses she had received, gave her hair a sweet smell. "You choose, wifey, what do you want?" "Actually," she said thoughtful, "I've got an amazing craving for ramen." Tenten wrinkled her nose. "That is not wedding food." Hinata stuck her tongue out. "A compromise," called Neji before the situation could develop. "There's a nice place, maybe 5 minutes from here. They do fancy foods, dress it up, call it odd names, but it's really just ramen. They know what people like but they know to make it look good." Tenten nodded. Sakura looked amiable enough. Hinata and Naruto watched suspiciously. "If you hate it we can go somewhere else." Hinata seed her head to the side considering. She didn't seem too keen but her stomach rumbled. "Oh what the hell," she cried throwing her hands in the air, "let's go." She wheeled around and plowed off into the night dragging her husband by the shirt sleeve, leaving her friends behind waiting for her to realize that the restaurant in question was actually in the other direction. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.